Good morning, Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. Today we will do a collective check-in reading. We will see where we go. So the energy feels different today because one, it does. And two, I am using one of my oldest and favorite decks, the Mystical Shaman Oracle. This is my heavy duty medicine shamanic medicine deck. This is the book. I love it so much. I even bought them in pocket size, which is hysterical that even that exists. And I don't know why. I've never used this deck in a reading. It always felt like a little bit too much wisdom. I know that's a weird thing to say, but it just felt almost, one card in and of itself is powerful. It didn't feel right to me to put it in an entire spread. And yet here we are, and let's see where we go. It's already a little bit of a dense reading. But for this deck, I will be reading from the book from some of them. I have a whole intuitive narrative coming through, but I kind of wanted to anchor these points by reading from the book. So bear with me, and we will start our journey. Okay, I'm going to start with top left, the smoky mirror. The smoky mirror represents the aspects of what is implied yet cannot be immediately known in the world. The mystery of how things come together and how things fall apart without obvious causality. This symbol also represents the shadow of the human psyche, the parts of self that one disowns. The smoky mirror can also represent a state of denial or the inability or refusal to see the truth. When the symbol of the smoky mirror appears, you're invited to see beyond your own self. Acknowledge that, past the limits of your own current ability to perceive, there is a vast interconnected world where events are orchestrated in divine order, but challenging to fully grasp. Now is the time to trust that no matter what the current conditions of your world reflect, in the hidden realms, all aspects of the human journey are celebrated. The beauty and the darkness, the misery and the courage. No matter where you are on your journey, know that some things are meant to be a mystery, which you are meant to understand only through experience. Take heart. For the smoky mirror will ultimately show you beauty and wonder once the fog lifts the distortion you see now. Okay, I wanted to read this one from the book because, wait for it. So it goes perfectly with, we have the completion card in reverse, and we have this upper world card in reverse in the unconscious. I'm just going to read the completion in reverse. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Clinging to the old form will bring only decay. When fruit is left too long on the vine, it rots. You know that it is time to move on, yet are reluctant. Do not be afraid of hurting anyone's feelings. Remember that you are responsible for your actions, not the actions of others. Mourn what is lost so you can move on. Do not be sad. Be like the sun at midday who shines brightly, neither longing for sunrise nor dreading the dusk. And then I'm going to read the unconscious card, the upper worlds. Ask your divine helpers for guidance. If the oracle has already spoken to you, do not ask for more guidance. Take what has been offered. Now you must deal with the lethargy and idleness. While support for a new destiny is not yet in place, a new destination is available to you if you act now. Okay, I just wanted to share those messages to kind of set us up a little bit. The unconscious messages around taking what has been offered mirrors the readings that we've had in the past month, where what has been coming up over and over again. We have the message of patience, and we also have the message of divine surrender. I can't remember which reading it was, but for some of you, I remember saying this, that there's some of you that aren't creating any space for the mystery. I keep staring at this hunter card right here. Where's my feather? Okay, my hunter card right there. And some of you may have been working too hard, pushing yourself too hard past the point, crossing your own boundaries to try to come to some sort of resolution, to try and find some way to quote unquote fix it. But this is not that time. This is the time to believe the support and guidance that you've received, to really take it into your heart. And if you can't take it into your heart, if it's too hard to look at or impossible to accept, then that's exactly the work you're being called to do. You're not being called to turn over more stones and try to understand and psychoanalyze more things that are going on. You know, we have two child cards. I literally put them one on top of the other. Why do I keep forgetting to use my feather? We have this child card and the Mystic Shaman child card. Under the Mystic Shaman child card, if you look in the background of that card, we have these what appear to be moon cycles in the background. There's something here about tapping into your inner child, because that will help you calibrate this massive transformation while detaching from quote unquote the adult world. You know, there's something here about really tuning into your inner child and living life from that beautiful, sweet, precious place, that place of play, that place of joy. It's like, think about, most of the time, parents try to protect their children from chaos. Parents could be going through really intense things, either a death in the family or financial struggles or any other kind of big thing. And oftentimes the very young children don't know about it. They're just in their beautiful place of the mystery, right? They're playing. They don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes, let alone the next year or month or whatever it is. So there's something here about if this time of idleness, if this time of patience is difficult for you, tune into your inner child. That is where, I just saw this beautiful sunflower. It's the hope card. Children are beings of hope. There's nothing else in them but hope, because they don't know everything, right? And neither do we, but we somehow forget that along the way, that there's sheer joy in the face of the mystery, in the unknown. There's something about rediscovering that connection to our inner child, to our inner divine spirit. Okay. I can't stop staring at this alchemy card. I mean, we talked, was it yesterday or the day before, about igniting and rediscovering the holy fire within, the flame that never goes out, the soul flame. There's something here about trusting in this alchemy. I went on a really long walk with my sister yesterday, and we were just talking about, all the things that sisters talk about. And we were talking about how difficult it is to have patience and how difficult it is to trust in the alchemy of things. And I gave her the same talk that I gave you guys about, this process of something happens, we perceive it, and then we have to integrate it. So from action or perception to integration, that's a process in it of itself. And I always say that integration, and people disagree with me on this, so form your own opinion, but this is how the flow of this alchemy takes place in my life. And it's just been incredibly supportive to me. So that's why I share it. So in my perception, integration is the hands off the wheel time. You have an experience, whether it's a life experience or you go take a workshop or a class or a retreat, or you learn something flows into your awareness, and now it's bumping up against your former psyche, your perceptions, your ego. It's bumping up inside of you. It's pinballing all over the place within. And so it takes a time to create space for this new awareness in your body, mind, soul, in your psyche. It takes literal time and space. And so again, I always say that integration is the hands off the wheel. Like, let God take the wheel on this one, because what is meant to remain will remain. What is meant to integrate and make sense will make sense. This is not something that you have to, run to mentors and guides and books and workshops. You don't have to put more on your plate. This is a time of allowing the grace and the space for your body, mind, soul to integrate these new truths. And sometimes the integration is in disillusionment, right? Sometimes the integration is you've been presented with something and you think it's true, but the integration is that you discover it's not true. Integration isn't always integrating, I don't want to say positive truths, but I think you know what I'm getting at. It's not always making you aware of all the amazing things you missed. It could also be making you aware of all the dense, darker, heavier energies that you didn't know were in your energy field or your psyche. So again, we have an experience or we receive an awareness. Then from awareness to integration, this is a hands off the wheel situation. And then something happens. You start to just get back into the flow of life. You start to kind of get back into your patterns and whatever. And then from integration to embodiment is a whole different type of calibration. For me, from integration to embodiment, different things start to happen. Your awareness starts to get a little deeper. You have expanded just a bit more so that you can hold more awareness. And not only that, you have enough space to not just hold the awareness, but actually kind of, deploy this new awareness in your life to kind of flex those new muscles that you've learned. It's like you go to a retreat and you learn a whole new, yoga pose or something. This is just an example, bear with me. You learn a whole new series of yoga poses and then you go home and you're like, whoa, my body feels so weird, right? I just did all these things that it's not used to doing. That's the integration. And then the embodiment is like, wow, I can really do these poses now. I am incorporating them into my life. They are now becoming a part of my yoga flow, and I can now reach further than I've been able to reach. I'm more flexible. I'm more present in my practice, right? So embodiment is the actual lived change. You are living the change out in the world. And it's not, when I say embodiment, and again, this is just my interpretation, it's not so, you're not controlling this. It's something that kind of just seeps into the marrow of your bones, and you just kind of become the transformation that you have been working on for so long. And what's wild about embodiment, you don't really notice it. It's almost such small perceivable shifts that you are just kind of becoming this new thing, and it's all happening under your radar. It's all happening in the mystery. Okay. So another message of that, okay, so we have the shift card, we have fortitude, time, fragments, alchemy, connection, and reverse. So I am feeling this, hold on. We also have the rebirth and the unconscious. There's something here, again, about hands off the wheel. This is, it's like, the joke or the kind of funny thing that people say about tarot readers when people, especially in love readings, when they're like, okay, tell me, who my person is and do they love me, and like all these very direct kind of shallow questions. And I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying they're not there's not as much accountability in questions like that. So I'm just giggling because it's almost like when they get a card and a message they don't like, they're like, no, pick another one. And I'm sorry to report that that's not how this works. We can't just pick another message because we didn't like the first message. And so again, I'm calling you out with love for those of you that have been struggling to have faith and trust in the divine. I mean, we've had so many readings where the infinite connection, the divine source, all of these things have been showing up in the unconscious. And for about, I think a minimum of 2 weeks now, I've been saying that message over and over again. So maybe your work is not in doing more work. Maybe your work is in actually rediscovering some sort of spiritual ritual or some sort of practice that realigns you with that trust, with that surrender. The image I'm getting and the feeling to kind of anchor this is, that thing when you go for a walk in nature and it takes your system a little bit to recalibrate to the natural world. We're so used to, our screens and artificial light, and we're indoors. Maybe we're sitting at a desk in an office. We're so used to the speed and the pace of the grind and the noises. Oh God, the noise pollution. And if you live in a big, big city, it's like there's the cars and the noises and the people honking and the pollution and all these things. It takes the system a bit of time to relax into the pace of Mother Gaia, right? It takes a little bit of trust that we are safe to relax here, that we don't have deadlines out in nature. Mother Gaia isn't going to hold you to a deadline. And so it's reminding me of that. That's the reference point I wanted to share with you around like what it actually takes to sink into the divine. It takes a bit of recalibration. So I'm going to challenge you, what is that practice for you? Maybe it is a walk in nature, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's playing an instrument, and really surrendering to that flow. Maybe it's creating art. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's, some sort of physical movement, whatever that, like for instance, when I dance, I touched the divine. When I just let myself be free and silly, and I sometimes dance like a little kid and just don't care. For me, that is such an outlet to drop into oneness. And it's like I'm getting emotional because it's that feeling when you are so completely disarmed, de-armored, that you can be held by the divine. So if you haven't felt that either ever or in a very long time, I invite you to find, set out on the path, set out on the journey of discovery, access the endurance and fortitude on this path of discovery. Yeah, this connection in the reverse card is, for me, it's like, where are you longing for connection that you don't actually have? Maybe it's not with source. Maybe it's with a partner. Maybe it's with a best friend or a family member. Maybe it's with an elder. God, I'm so emotional right now. It's beautiful and just catching me off guard. But in my family, we lost a lot of people, a lot of elders. So there's not as many elders in my family. And sometimes I crave being around elders, specifically like literally older people, elderly people. And it's just their pace of life, the way they talk about things. There's so much wisdom in, excuse me, wow. I'm just very moved by this deep desire of the collective here today. There's something about looking to your inner child or looking to elders to recalibrate this slow pace of a surrendered life. It's a really beautiful message. The only card I haven't really touched on is this nobility card. And what's so interesting is, sadly, it's not just interesting, it's really sad that in most of the modern world, and I'll speak for the United States, that we have committed atrocious crimes, wiping out indigenous people, you know, wiping out native people that occupied the lands, and they knew something that we didn't. They knew that their royalty was the children and their elders. Very emotional message for me. Sorry. It's a really beautiful message, and unfortunately, in our capitalist driven culture, because children and elderly aren't often the money makers and aren't spending as much money as everyone in between, they are often devalued. And it's a very, very tragic, sad part of our culture. And so I'm grateful that this message is coming through to help remind us of this royal, not just royal, but the elders and the children are these magical beings who are so close to the other side. They hold such profound wisdom from this world and beyond. It's like it's a tragedy that we're not kneeling at their feet, putting their words on the altar as divine, as on their rightful throne, as their rightful place. Okay, let me stop this message because I'm going to keep crying. So let's move on. Let's get some of these. This is my Gateway of Light activation. Okay, what does the collective need to know right now? Is there anything else they need to know for the highest and best good of self and the planet? Is there anything else blocking this surrender or blocking their connection to the divine? What can you tell us about this space and time? Okay, we have inner earth, base chakra, strength and security, laying foundations. We also have the heart of source, all-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, and serenity. That's that feeling. That's that feeling. So I encourage you to feel into, when have you felt that? When is the last time that you have felt that deep, deep, profound surrender? I say connection to source, or sometimes you'll hear me say, oh, I'm dropping all my cards. Sometimes you'll hear me say oneness. For me, when I'm in that oneness energy, I am like weeping and laughing in joy. There's so much deep, profound connection. And so that might not be that, when you feel that, what I'm trying to say, and I'm struggling to say, is when you feel this, it doesn't have to even be connected to spirituality. Even though I do believe that when our soul and human are this de-armored, I feel like it is a spiritual experience, but this could look like anything. This doesn't have to do with source or God or the universe. This could be you are hanging out with your niece or nephew or your grandchild, and you are just so present, or your best friend, and you're so beautifully, divinely present with them that you lose track of time. That's one of the best indicators that you are kind of in this altered state of blissful consciousness, is that you're doing something you're so engrossed in that you lose track of space and time. What did you do as a child that made the hours go by? Did you draw? Did you play dress up? Did you play an instrument? Were you making mud pies in the outside in the backyard with your neighbors and your best friends? What was that thing? This would be a beautiful exercise to journal about. What was that thing that made you lose track of time? For adults, it could be lovemaking, you know what I mean? Or for It could be anything that you really get lost in. But why I kind of been straying away from this type of thing is we have to be mindful to make sure that we're not attaching to someone, or, I mean, really anything, attaching to a person, place, or thing as we nurture and nourish this connection. Because you want to be able to be self-sourced and sovereign, and you want to be able to access this connection to this profound source of the heart, source of this soul flame on your own. You don't want to be dependent or attached to any other external thing. Okay, we also have Stellar Gateway Activation, Infinite Potential, and Manifestation Vortex. I think we got that card yesterday. And then we have Sirius Star Blessings. Yes, proceed, be seen, and push through. We got that card as well yesterday. And on the unconscious, we have Star Gathering. Stars align, remembering home, remembering soul family. Yeah. That's a really beautiful thing. And for some of you, that's another thing. It may be connecting with your ancestors. I'm thinking about the Day of the Dead and what a beautiful celebration it is for to reconnect with the ones that have passed. It's not, it's not this morose, dark day. It's this day of celebration, of rejoicing about our ancestors. Okay, heavy reading. Let's lighten it up with some earth magic cards. We're good on time. Okay. Oh, this is one of my favorite cards. Okay, this is the Dreamtime card. And I love it because you have this Aboriginal elder playing this didgeridoo, breathing life, breathing creation into life is what I'm trying to say. We also have the Milky Way perspective. We have Island Solitude and the Waterfall Effortless. Okay, I feel like these are just mirroring exactly what I said of when you're in that sweet childlike moment where you're playing by yourself. Like, kids are incredible, right? They let their imagination unfurl. They are so in tune with the mystery that they kind of effortlessly flow with the river of mystery. They're not so concerned with controlling it. That is the perspective that we're being asked to align ourselves with, to drop into this creative space, this beautiful holy creation. And for some of you, this is just a specific message. If for some of you, this may happen in dream time. Some of you may connect with source or with that bliss during dream time, or it may give you just another piece of the puzzle of something that is blocking your ability to receive this beauty. Okay, what else do we want to get? It's funny. I intentionally pulled less cards today because I had a feeling the messages were going to be dense. And I like it. I like having more space with you here with these messages. We also got success. What else? It's so counterintuitive, and we have to retrain and recalibrate. And let me say this. We have to rewire our neurological pathways to do less. I think our society and our culture has always trained us to do more and to push harder, right? That's a very masculine, modern convention, right? Push harder, work harder, you'll get all your dreams will come true, and everything you want will happen if you just work harder. Well, that's not how balanced energy works. The feminine flow is sitting on her throne and accessing this deep, deep receptivity and surrender. Yes, accessing this profound peace. Anything else, Spirit? And growth. Accessing this peace, balancing your chakras, Grounding in the unknown will provide the rich earth, the rich soil full of rich nutrients for your growth. We also have this rebirth. I don't know if you were able to see it on camera, in the unconscious. So I love to see that growth is coming out in the conscious position. What a beautiful thing. Okay. I could just keep going. Let's just keep going and see what else happens. I'm going to ask some of these question cards. Let's see. What else does the collective need to know for today? What would support them? Their highest and best. It says break the change, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Right, to rewrite the future, we have to take radical accountability of the present moment and how we're using that time, and calling our spirit, calling our awareness back into the present time. That's one of the biggest gifts that we can give to ourselves, is getting our energy in present time. I mean, how can we fully show up and accomplish anything if our awareness is stuck in the past or worrying about the future? We have to get our energy in present time. Yes, what are you clinging to? The crumbling, and then trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? What would you do? All right, let's get, you know what's hilarious? Wait, are there any more? Yes. I used my Buddha wisdom cards as bookmarks, and it didn't even occur to me that that we're going to take these as cards. You are a projection of love. Love the earth, love the air, love the water, love the fire. That's that visual. Let me just put this in the direct center here. That visual of that holy fire, that fire that lives at the core of our hearts, just keeps coming up and keeps coming up. We have exert yourself with thoughts of benevolence. Be soft in your speech. And then don't let worldly temptations lead you astray. For me, this is speaking directly into that modern conventional world. Don't let the modern convention set your internal pace. It's like you have to tune your own instrument to your own inner, vibration, or to vibration of Mother Gaia, of Source. Beautiful reading. Thank you for being here with me. I hope this was supportive, and I will deliciously see you in the next one. All right, bye.